And I just got tired of waiting.
Of course.
But I can't understand. You were getting to be a soldier in that time. You wanted to become a soldier.
Yeah.
And you knew, I think, that you would be sent to Europe or...
Well, that's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. It's quite a risk that you will be killed.
Well, you don't think about those things. You know, even when you were over there and they kept telling you that 80% of you weren't coming back.
80%?
You never thought it would be you.
No.
You just, don't worry about those things.
No, it was the adventure.
Yeah. See, the day at Pearl Harbor happened, that happened on a Sunday. I came home from church that Sunday morning, and my folks had got home before me because I always stayed for Sunday school. And the radio was blaring and about the war, about the invasion. So the next morning I hitchhiked. I lived about 50 miles from Detroit. In those days everybody hitchhiked, kids, you know. And I hitchhiked to Detroit to enlist, and I wanted to be a pilot. That was the most romantic job, was to be a pilot. So I went down and got in line and went through all the deal, and I got turned down. Like I wasn't physically, I was only about 5'8½" and only weighed around 130 pounds. I was really a runt when I went in. Matter of fact, I put on all this weight and everything. I shot up and got up to be 6'2" and about 190. And when I came home from the war, the guys that used to be a bully, I looked down at them and they couldn't believe it, that I was so big and strong in those days. But that's why I enlisted. I just got tired. I tried several jobs, and I was going to go to college, and that didn't work out. And I just was at odds ends, so one day I decided, well, I'm going to enlist. And I didn't enlist for the paratroops. I was going to go to the Army. I liked beans. They kept telling me I ate beans all the time. And in World War I guess that was the main staple was. So that's why I enlisted in the Army.
So you went into service, and where was your training?
Okay, I went to Battle Creek, and they transferred me to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. And that's outside of Hattiesburg. And I went to the 31st Dixie Division. And there I took my basic training. And after basic training, what happened was, let's see, this is, first I had 3 options. I had a very high IQ. Matter of fact, it took 110 to become go to OCS or become an officer, and mine was 146. It doesn't mean that you're brilliant or anything, it just means that you're quick and organized. I don't know what the test is for, but this helped me all the way through, because many people saw this that really turned them on in the service. And they always want to know why I didn't become an officer. Well, I didn't have any college, that was the main reason. But anyway, I had 3 options. I could go to OCS, or I could go to, they had a program where you go to a college like Harvard or Yale for 2 years, and then you would come out second lieutenant, or you go to the paratroops. And I went in for I put in for all 3, and made up my mind whichever one came through first. That's what I was going to take. And of course the paratroops came through first, and I was on maneuvers with the 31st Division in Louisiana when they came through. And I'm writing a book, or she's doing the book. My mother saved all the letters I sent. She has the original letters. And they're all in this book. And she described each letter, the paper it's written on, and the date, and all this that I'm telling you has all comes from these letters. It's really, I can't believe it that she saved them all those years. And of course I saved them. And I had a lot of stuff that we donated to the 82nd Airborne Museum. Why I saved them, I don't know. But anyway, then I went, so I hitchhiked. And so they gave me money for to travel, but I hitchhiked all the way to Fort Benning, Georgia, and went through jump school. And after I got out of jump school, they sent all of us over into the Chattahoochee River runs there through Fort Benning, and the other side of it was where they kept all as we graduated. They kept us, and some guys went straight from there overseas to the 82nd or the 101. And at that time, they sent me to Camp McCall, to the 508. And the 508, and I think it was a 502, were a brigade. They weren't, the 101 and 82nd were triangular divisions, 2 regiments of paratroopers and 1 regiment of gliders. Well then, after we got overseas, why we were going overseas, I can't remember, it's in the book, the exact time, but they decided to make them quadrangular divisions with 3 paratroop units and 1 glider regiment. That's when they split up the brigade and sent the 502, I think it's a 502, I can't remember for sure. They sent them to the 101 and they sent the 508 to the 82nd. And then when we went to Ireland, we left there the night before Christmas. I think we sailed to Ireland, and that's when we were there just for a couple of months. Then they put us in, sent us to England, and that's when we were associated with the 82nd. And then of course they sent, the 82nd came up from Africa and Italy, and then came up to England, so the whole division jumped. As we were part of the division. But that's how we became 82nd Airborne. That's also the one that Sergeant York, I don't know if you've ever read any of his. He was a famous in World War I. He won the Medal of Honor. He's the one that killed so many men and saved his unit. And the story was, when you pick them off, you start picking off the ones at the far back and start working up. When you're, it sounds kind of gruesome, but that's the way Buffalo Bill used to kill buffaloes. When he hit a herd, he always got the buffaloes farthest away. As you hit the ones close up, then you scatter the herd. So if you can knock them off in the rear, you'll work your way out. But it's not funny, but it's, you know, we look at it now, it's kind of odd. That's how I got my travels. And I stayed in, we were in Wilton Park in England. That's Nottingham Forest. And I'm a Robin Hood fan. I still watch Robin Hood movies. I watched every one they ever made and read every book. Dozens of times. And while I was there, during my course, I was a roller skater and an ice skater. I even tried out for the Red Wings once, but I didn't make it. But at least I had a shot at it. But when I got to England, Wilton Park, the little town, God, I can't think of the name of it now, Bull Market. And the mayor of Bull Market owned a roller rink there. And I used to go skating, and of course the minute they saw me on skates, they knew that I knew what I was doing. And I put on several exhibitions, and I'm kind of an egotist. I enjoyed it. And for years, after the war was over, I still skated and taught skating, both ice and roller.
So from Ireland you went to
Wilton Park. Well, from Ireland we went to Wilton Park, England, which is a short stop away. And then we left there, jumped in Normandy, and we came back to Southampton. We were the first troops back. and they really turned out for us. The English, they had bands and all kinds of things. We got off the ship and got on the buses and went to back to Wilton Park. And then from there, we in September we went to Holland. And after Holland, we went back to Sassone, France. And then from Sassone, France, we went to the Battle of the Bulge. That was kind of interesting. That was on a Sunday, the 17th of September. And that day, that morning, I'd gone to church and had breakfast. And then I went to see the movie Saratoga Trunk with Gary Cooper and Ingrid Bergman. And right when we first got there, we had a bad habit. We'd take condoms and blow them up like a balloon. And they'd bounce them around the theaters. You're sitting there waiting, the lights were all on. And then the guys were all smoking for everything. And then they'd take their cigarettes, they'd try to knock them out of the air. And this officer came up on the stage, and he really read the riot act to it. And he either stopped doing it or get out of the theater. And he had a couple of MPs with him, so that stopped that. But right in the middle of the movie, all of a sudden the lights come on and the same officer comes out on the stage. We thought, well, now what have we done? Well, we had a call to return our unit immediately. We came, and that was the end of the movie. We came outdoors, there was a bright sun, and of course a camp, and the camp was just a hubbub. Trucks moving all over, tanks, you can't imagine the confusion. Got back to our unit, and we were instructed to get our gear all together, we were leaving. And we got into these semi-trucks. They're grain trailers. A grain trailer in the United States is a big semi-trailer, but it's cut so they can load it with grain, open top, put a tarp over it. But they're just high enough that when you're standing in them, you can see over them. But if you sit down, you can't. Well, as we're driving up to Belgium, we're on these narrow roads, of course, they're like all European roads. And we're going this way, and the steady stream of traffic is coming back, because all of the 106 and whatever other regiment was involved. They were, of course, overrun, and then we were escaping, coming back. And like most convoys, it's stop and go, stop and go. And every time we stopped, of course, we'd just get up and talk to the other people on the other side coming out. And they would tell out stories that were coming, and we were sitting there getting nervous as hell. And it started getting dark, and the closer you get, you can see, first you start seeing the flares in the flashing in the sky from the big guns, and then as you got closer, the noise. And we swore we were going to get off of those with fixed bayonet and go right into battle. Hell, we didn't know what was going on. No. Well, it wasn't that way, but it was pretty scary. And we got there, and we stayed in, we were in St. Vith, and our mission was to hold a bridge. And it just happened that B Company was the one that held the bridge, and when we got the Belgium Croix de Guerre, in the original orders, it gives it to the regiment, and then it and then at the bottom of the deal, it signifies the 508 B Company. Got it. It was quite an honor. And of course, we didn't know what we did. We're just, they're telling about all this heavy fighting going on, and it's all heavy fighting as far as we're concerned. But that's the trouble with all these battles, and then this is what I'm going to find out why I really want to go to Normandy. I want to know what we really did, you know. I can't remember. I can't remember when I went to the bathroom. I can't remember getting a hot meal, or I can remember getting, the first time we got back to England, is walking into a room and turning the light on and seeing the light come on. You know, you 33 days, you don't see any of this. You don't have a warm spot, you know, there's no warm rooms. It's hard to imagine.